Hey cats, it's your midsole man, Eddbud here. I've got to try out a myriad of different running shoes over 2024. Right now there's a handful of daily models that really stand out from the crowd in terms of performance and price. So let's take a look at the top rated daily models that I've reviewed in 2024. Thanks for tuning in, people, always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already, and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment as well to help with the YouTube algorithm. Dankeschön. Today I'm looking at the top reviewed daily models that I've tried out during 2024. We got the likes of the NOVABLAST 4 and the 5, the ADIZERO SL2 from Adidas. Puma, of course, can't be forgotten with their Velocity NITRO 3, and of course a pair of PEGASUS shoes, the 41 and the Plus. Kicking off with the two NOVABLAST models actually. The NOVABLAST 4 launched at the very end of 2023, but most of my testing of it was in 2024. And of course we've got the very soon to be released NOVABLAST 5. I'm finding quite a bit of difference actually between these two models. Weight isn't one of the things that's all that different, they're practically the same, though the upper on the two shoes is quite different. A little less bulky in the NOVABLAST 5, does feel a little thicker and slightly more coarse I suppose in the NOVABLAST 4. I think the 5's just feeling a little bit more breathable. I think it's more to my preferences really, and it locks the foot just a little bit better than the 4 did. Interestingly, with a lot of Asics shoes at the moment, I'm not bothering to use a runner's knot, I'm just lacing up to the final eyelets, and that seems to work so much better for me. Not sure why that is, maybe something to do with the last that they're using in the shoes. I think the main event of any shoes got to be the midsole really, and I think if you like things slightly firmer, a little bit more responsive maybe, then the NOVABLAST 4 midsole might be right up your street. Flight Foam Blast Plus is quite different to the new Flight Foam Blast Max. I do have to be honest with you guys, I find the NOVABLAST 4 perhaps a little bit more versatile for longer runs. It's not as soft as the NOVABLAST 5. I think a few people are going to find the 5 so soft that they're going to get a little bit of a problem, I suppose, in terms of stability. Perhaps later in a longer run when their form is starting to break down. There's a few people saying these formulas are quite similar. I'm not finding them similar at all. I think this one's super soft. Maybe I've just got a particularly soft version or something. But even the durometer tests I did showed quite a difference between the two. I mean, this is close to like the Zoom X softness. Don't get me wrong, this one's certainly fun and energizing, and I really like it from a daily perspective. And if you're looking to get a little bit more out of your purchase, perhaps this one might be slightly better due to the fact it's just a little bit more firm. Just got a little bit of ankle soreness, I suppose, when running at slower speeds in this one. It does seem to make me want to push the tempo, for me up to about 7 minutes 45 per mile. It just starts singing around there. I didn't really enjoy it as much if I'm dropping the speed back to like an easy pace around about 8:30 per mile. The outsoles were improved on both versions of the shoe, but as you can see by these two, it's actually quite a difference. There are a lot more ridges here on the NOVABLAST 4 compared to the 5. It's got a smooth rubber here, quite malleable too. Things are a little bit tougher here on the rubber on the NOVABLAST 4. This one has become a little bit more coarse and tacky after the miles that I've been putting into it recently, but I think the NOVABLAST 4 had slightly better grip just straight out the box. So I'm seeing very few discounts on the NOVABLAST 4 whatsoever, even like a year on after release. I think if I had to rate them, I'd probably give a B grade to the NOVABLAST 4 at this point, and a B plus for the NOVABLAST 5. It's just a little bit more up for it, a little bit more exciting to me, and I like the lockdown of the upper slightly better. I think the latter of the two shoes certainly a little bit more versatile, and then the faster feeling slightly newer model just a bit more bouncy and up for it. Just to let you know, I'm only giving you my views on shoes I've tested out. Can't really give you sort of in-depth reviews on shoes that I don't own or haven't tried out on foot. A pair of PEGASUS shoes now for you from Nike. We've got the PEGASUS 41 and also the PEGASUS Plus, or Turbo, whatever you want to call it. Now, the PEGASUS 41's been a bit of a stalwart of the rotation since I picked it up earlier in the year, though maybe not so much for running. I've just been using this one for like sort of daily activities, I suppose, and gigs as well, where I've been stood up for hours on end. I have to be honest with you people, the combination of the React X midsole and those air units isn't perhaps the most forgiving. It's actually quite firm really. You don't really get the same step in comfort that you get within those NOVABLAST models from Asics. And I don't think that's that surprising when you consider that the air units in the forefoot and the heel are like directly below the insole and the lasting board within the shoe. So it's kind of a little tougher, I suppose, and it takes a bit of time to break in. As such, I think if you're a fan of the Pegasus model, then you're really going to like the 41. I've enjoyed it. It does what it says on the tin, really. It's just a reasonably capable do-it-all shoe. It can sort of have a go at everything, but not really a master of anything in particular. I think for me, the Pegasus Plus presents us with a slightly more nimble and exciting model, I suppose. It's a bit more sprightly, though this representation of the Pegasus Turbo is a little bit heavier than previous incarnations. I think it's down to the upper materials a little bit here. They must weigh a little bit more. It can't be the Zoom X. I mean, in the previous versions, we had like Zoom X and React, and then, of course, the crushed up stuff in that last one, which wasn't really a Pegasus Turbo, let's face it. Maybe it's down to the rubber or something. Maybe it's thicker. Maybe they've used more. Just perplexes me a little bit how this one can be that bit heavier. And I think the Flyknit upper won't be for everybody. Does feel a little bit like a jumper on foot. It's certainly different Flyknit to the stuff that we've seen in the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit, for example. I just wish they brought back the original Pegasus Turbo 2 upper and put this midsole onto it. It's still a fun ride though, and capable of perhaps some slightly longer efforts. I still wouldn't suggest it's a really great long run shoe. Just don't expect anything close to like a plated underfoot feel in this one. You're not going to get it. There's no stabilizing elements here within the midsole. So if I'm going to grade these right now, I think it'd probably be a grade D for the Pegasus 41. It's just kind of left behind a little bit, and it does make me wonder about this Pegasus Premium that's releasing. I mean, that's got even more air, more stack, React X. It's going to be a really heavy shoe, and that's what we've seen by those early accounts. Pegasus Plus, I think, worthy of a C grade so far. It's not really blown me away or anything. Just wish all Nike daily models were a little bit lighter than they are. They just don't seem to care that much about weight in their daily runners, aside from perhaps the Zoom Fly 6, but that's getting on to be like a race shoe, I suppose. We did, of course, review the Puma Velocity Nitro 3 this year. Now, this one is almost bordering on like a max cushion shoe now. They've put so much extra stack into the heel. Didn't feel quite as nimble or sort of versatile as it did before. I'm not entirely sure why. I think they've tinkered with the sort of balance of the two midsole materials here. You do have Puma Nitro and then their Pro Foam, which is an EVA blend underneath that. And there is a hefty old spread of rubber here too. It's Puma grip stuff, so it's going to last a long time. But I'm just not entirely sure we need all of that. The third version of the shoe, yes, it did have better grip with those extra ridges, but the upper was that bit thicker, still not all that breathable, I suppose. It almost makes this one feel like it's a better long run shoe where you want something that's a little bit more plush and where comfort is of sort of more importance. Just feels a little bit more substantial on foot, though you haven't got a major weight gain. It's kind of a perplexing one. I think it's been overshadowed a little bit by some of the other models that have released this year from other manufacturers. Just kind of feels like a max cushion shoe rather than like a daily shoe you can throw on to do sort of anything. I just couldn't get away from that over my testing this year in it. I think the supple rubber just aided the flexibility of the shoe somewhat, but I did find that that Pro Foam EVA layer didn't really like the cold all that much. It became quite firm then underfoot. So I think I'll probably give this one a C- grade in my testing so far. You all know what this shoe is, the Adidas SL2. It's one of the best versions of the super light model that they've released for ages. Probably the best one since like the SL20. Was it the SL20? I think it was the SL20. That was an absolute banger of a shoe. Used light strike, but it was like softer stuff than what we've got now. Really light, really nimble, great cushion here, and the price was superb too. Now, I wouldn't call this a long run shoe by any stretch, mainly due to the quite narrow heel that you've got here, but it's like a daily option, absolutely smashing. The only major flaw really in this shoe was the fact that they put these really thin, nasty laces in there, and the insole really left a lot to be desired. It didn't really amplify the great underfoot midsole feel that you had, so consequently I've like subbed out some stuff here, changed the laces. I think I put the insole in from the Adios 8, subbed out the laces, so we've got those in from the Adios 4. So it's a bit like an Adidas or Frankenstein shoe. And while I enjoyed it for those mile mashing sessions, I was always left feeling that they kind of just missed out on it being perfect. Obviously viewers will be keen to see my impressions on the Evo SL when that releases. Obviously we've got more Light Strike Pro there, and there's a little bit of Continental rubber down on the outsole, which we don't have here in the SL2. But I'd still probably give this one a good B+ grade. I think it's, you know, almost there. It's just got a little bit of room for improvement. In 2023, we did test out the Floatride Energy 5 from Reebok, and I did get a pair of the Energy 5 Adventure, though I found this one to be very, very long in terms of sizing. Did try it out a couple of times, but it just wasn't really a shoe that felt that great in terms of length. It's very much similar to the Energy 5, the standard version, though you've got a hell of a lot more rubber here on the outsole. I think it added on quite a bit of weight. It's probably about 30 grams extra. It uses a Cordura upper material, which is going to make it a little bit more durable, I suppose, if you're going some road to trail type activity. But one of the things people didn't like about the Energy 5 was that plastic plate, that sort of torsion type unit that they put here to provide some midfoot stability. That was the same really for me in the Energy 5 Adventure. Sadly, it looks as if Reebok aren't putting all that much kind of energy into the Floatride Energy series anymore. I haven't seen any sort of new updates on that one in a long time. They're going with the Floatzig stuff. I do have the Floatzig X1 to review. That's probably coming up in the next few days. So if I was to give that one a rating, it'd probably be like a D-. I just couldn't really get on with this one. Okay, that's all the daily type shoes that I've reviewed over the course of 2024. I know there's loads of other models out there, but these are the ones I've tested, and I can give you my experiences straight from the heart. Let me know your faithful daily drivers down in the comments. I am going to cover like max cushion, tempo trainers, like plated ones, and then long run options in the coming weeks, so don't worry. Musical interlude time. I got a great one for you. Another one that is perhaps most famous, I suppose, for being used in the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's from the Moonglows, and it's called Hey Santa Claus. Very sort of simple tune, this one. It's got a great swinging rhythm, really infectious vocal loops too. They just go on and on and on. Proper sort of 12-bar blues kind of vibe going on. Some really cool backing vocals as well. Really like the way they layer them up. Feels like the vocal is like the main instrument here, and they let rip a bit later on with the ride cymbal and some of that wonderful saxophone. Go and check it out, people. The Moonglows with Hey Santa Claus. Thanks for joining me on today's video, people. It's always appreciated. There's still loads of you out there who are watching but haven't subscribed, so, you know, help a man out at Christmas. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a super thanks as well and a comment to help out with the algorithm. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you